I'm Emily.
And I'm Hannah.
We are best friends and dietitians. We have a goal of challenging nutrition misinformation and fitness trends with an evidence-based approach.
Each episode, we will dish up our thoughts about the latest facts on a popular health-related topic.
We're the Up-Beet Dietitians.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of the Up-Beet Dietitians podcast.
Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about the very trendy yet also controversial recently energy drink Celsius. This has become all the rage over probably the past year or maybe greater than a year.
For some reason, but I think recently, as we'll describe, it's been more in the media, but they've been around for a while.
Yes. But essentially, it's an energy drink. Why it's more recently coming up is there was some class action lawsuit against it. And we kind of want to talk about what is causing the lawsuit. Should we avoid Celsius and other energy drinks? And what do you need to know about this energy drink? So, yeah. Let's get into it. First off, this is not a question on here, but I want to ask you, have you ever had Celsius?
I don't know. Ross likes energy drinks in general, which I'm like, you're married to a dietitian. What are you doing? Kind of thing. But he doesn't do them all the time, which we'll describe. Kind of spoiler, as always. Everything in moderation, that whole spiel. So I like to try new things. It's kind of my thing to try new things at the grocery store. So once in a while, if I see a really fun flavor, I like to try stuff, but I don't like energy drinks in general. I probably had 5 in my entire life, to answer your question. And I don't think I've had Celsius. I've had some Bangs. Ross likes the Mountain Dew energy drinks. They have those these days, and they always have new flavors coming out.
I feel like those would be good.
He got one yesterday. It was a pitch black was what it was called, and that was decent. I think it was grapey flavored, maybe. I don't know. So I don't think I've had Celsius though. Have you?
I have not. I think I've only had Monster and Alani, which I love Alani, only for the taste.
Well, I was looking on Celsius' site and they have some fun looking flavors too. It's a real bummer they don't just have these flavors in a juice or a sparkly seltzer water.
I would love that.
I know.
Yes, they should expand out. But anyway, we're not here to give free marketing advice.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about what is in the Celsius drinks. So there are a variety. They have expanded out, as we're talking about, they need to expand out. They have expanded out, and they have kind of 5 most popular ones. And this is the Celsius Original, the Celsius Stevia, which you could guess by the name, incorporates stevia as its sweetness or sweetener alternative, sugar alternative.
Yeah, they use sucralose, I'm pretty sure, in the original.
That sounds right. There is Celsius Heat, which I don't know much about that.
We won't go into it a whole lot today, but it has even more fat burning properties.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
There is Celsius BCAAs, which is, you can figure that one out. They probably add some type of BCAA supplement to it, I assume. Or maybe they don't, and they could also lie. I don't know. The world's their oyster. And then there's Celsius on the go, which that one just cracks me up because they're all in cans.
Right. You can't just take a can with you.
Yeah. So we're going to focus primarily on Celsius Original because this is the most popular one. And if you've seen a Celsius, it's probably most likely this one. And it's primarily advertised to consume before a workout to, quote, accelerate metabolism and burn body fat, unquote.
Yeah, those are the 2 claims that are on every can. And they say it's clinically proven that these claims are true. They have the science that they get these claims from listed. So I'll link that below so you guys can see it. And if you want to read the science yourself, you can. Generally speaking, though, I want to kind of break this science down a little bit. There's 5 or 6 studies they link and they get their claims from. And the biggest red flag, first of all, is that not surprisingly to either of us, maybe not you either, Celsius funded most of these studies, if not all of them. So obviously some
Conflict
bias
of
there.
interest.
Yep, a little bit. But what they say is that the research doesn't lie. All of the studies show that Celsius has thermogenic properties, which help make it one of the most advanced energy drinks on the market. So all of these studies in some capacity talk about the Celsius metabolic response, kind of like what happens to our body and our metabolism when we drink these things. But the science is pretty weak, TBH. They're not super duper great studies. I've got a few different bullet points here on why that's the case. I mean, first of all, most of them have very small sample sizes. It's like 6 or 10 people over a short period of time.
Yikes.
Yikes. The one I'm quoting specifically right here says this, but I'm sure others said something of a similar effect. Quote, they said the effects we observed on metabolic rate are sustained and not attenuated during chronic use. It is our understanding that these types of studies are currently being planned by other research groups. Therefore, the long-term safety and efficacy of Celsius remains to be demonstrated. So basically, it's done over a short period. We don't know the long-term effects of drinking these drinks. And as we'll describe later when we get into the cons or the potential risks, drinking these in large quantities over a long time may not be recommended.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They covered that, but probably in like advertising, they can leave that out. That's something very common. A lot of companies will do is they'll like quote research, but only focus on one part of it. So that's why we got to fact check them.
Exactly. Another con with the studies is depending on what their goals were with the study, the what's it called? Like what they do in the study also involved following a professional exercise routine, and there were typically some diet changes as well. So we have a correlation between like improved thermogenic effects with these energy drinks, but that was because they were likely alongside exercise routines and diet changes. And one study even said, to prove that point even further, this current study discovered that when not combined with exercise, the same energy drink as studied by Dabo et al. And Roberts et al. Yielded no appreciable effect on body fat or composition. So this one like literally said like there were no changes in body fat or composition.
Yeah. And it's tough when there are that many moving pieces, just like research 101, when there are multiple changing factors in that experimental group. That correlation does not mean causation. That's a classic science quote, is just because there's something happening does not mean that one thing is causing it.
That's one that we discuss almost every single day, whether on the podcast or not, about like weight loss, how everyone says weight loss causes this problem when we have very little evidence that suggests that. It's usually weight loss may correlate with type 2 diabetes, for example. We cannot say that.
Wait, are you talking about weight gain?
Yes, weight gain. Yeah, sorry. Or like being at a certain BMI, I guess is a better way to put it. Like being in an obese BMI, which we'll link that below, our thoughts on BMI. Yes. Like when they say that a high BMI causes diabetes, like we can't say that. It's maybe correlated, but people in small bodies can also get diabetes as well.
Yes.
But we're not here for that today.
No, right off the bat, the research is looking a little testy from multiple standpoints. Additionally, this like metabolic acceleration, in quotes, that phrase will be in like such small amounts when you're drinking the energy drink that it's not placing enough emphasis like in your goal to quote boost metabolism or burn body fat. Number one best way to boost metabolism is to eat. And number one best way to burn body fat is to like eat and move your body. Yeah. And maybe I don't know the actual like nutritional breakdown of Celsius that well, like if there are any like carbs in it or anything.
Very little. The whole thing is like it's low calorie. It's got like 10 calories, no carbs. Where do the calories come from then? Maybe like some BCAAs in there.
Oh, probably that.
But the label says no protein, no carbs, no fat. But with the rounding rules, we have to assume
Yes,
there's a little bit of at least one of
there's
those.
something there. Okay, well that's 2 grams fat, 2 grams carb, no carb, lol. Um,
Yeah.
but like if you drink Celsius and you're not moving, you're sedentary, you don't really move much, you don't eat, you skip meals, you aren't eating enough protein in the first place, you aren't sleeping. We just talked about sleep actually on this last episode. You're not managing your stress. Celsius is not going to be this all-in-one like fixing solution. There's a lot of other lifestyle habits that we have to work on to support our overall health.
Yeah, we should link the
And
metabolism episode below because that's what we're really talking about here. Like when it comes to boosting your metabolism and what that really means, we discussed in the episode. But basically, what we're saying is like, even if these drinks do increase metabolic rate a certain amount, it's likely so small. And that should not be your focus. If, like Emily said, you're not sleeping, you're not getting enough protein, you're not eating enough in general, you're not moving your body very much, those would be much better places to put your time and energy instead of just chugging Celsius in order to boost your metabolism and burn body fat.
yes, and you saying chugging Celsius, I want to bring up this next. Let's talk about the label and what's actually in it. We already talked about it when I asked about like, are there carbs in this or anything? But let's talk about maybe some like ingredients that we want to note that aren't carbs. So there are a lot of water soluble vitamins in Celsius. Water soluble vitamins and just like nutrition in general is you can only metabolize, or like your body can only absorb so much at a time. There isn't like you like give it like 300% of your daily recommended intake and your body absorbs all that. There's a certain amount and then the rest you're going to pee out. So just because it's packed with these water soluble vitamins doesn't mean that your body's absorbing all of them.
Right. Like this one I'm looking at right here, one of the originals has 1000% of your biotin for the day.
That's not going to be helpful to you.
No.
Like you don't need that much. Your body's going to be like, get this out of here, and this is too much. Second thing I want to note are, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but like the caffeine content is there's 200 to 300 milligrams in 1 Celsius. I haven't looked at all of them, but I'm guessing that's probably an average.
I think the heat has more and the original tends to have like 200. And I think the heats tend to have 300. Yeah.
Okay. So we have this, we're going to go into it in a little bit, but essentially there is like a caffeine threshold we don't want to go over, because if we do go over it, it can lead to like other health issues like heart issues or concentration issues, or there's like caffeine affects a lot of things. I don't know if we have an episode on caffeine. We should probably do an episode on caffeine.
I don't think we have either. I think we've touched on it a few times, but yeah, not specifically.
I'll make a note, caffeine episode. But if you drink 2 of these, you're at your threshold for the day.
Especially if you're doing it back to back. Like I've seen
Yes.
videos of people like literally shotgunning them. Like that's a big amount of caffeine all at once, first of all, which if you drink coffee, for example, because Emily and we're not anti-caffeine. Like caffeine's not inherently a bad toxic thing to your body. But when you drink coffee, we tend to just kind of like sip it. We're eating a meal maybe along with it. But if you're just like taking even just 1 Celsius, just like down the hatch really quickly, that's a lot of caffeine all at once. And that can lead to these issues that Emily described of like heart palpitations and seizures. And that, of course, is even riskier if you're doing like maybe multiple back to back, especially if you're not eating as well, which is also a common thing where people are doing these in place of like a breakfast.
Yeah. And I was just thinking to myself, like 400 milligrams is like the safe dose for like adults. And I bet like teenagers are drinking these. So
probably
their threshold's probably a little bit lower, which they might be like, if they're doing 2, it could be like well over it.
Oh yeah.
So that's spooky there. Additionally, other just kind of components to incorporate, like, or just to like note that they talk about are there's taurine, citric acid, guarana extract. I don't know if I said that right. Ginger root extract and green tea extract. And these ingredients have like claimed effects to boost metabolism, provide caffeine, and aid in recovery. But like while standing alone, these ingredients like most likely won't cause harm. But we have to remember like the dose is the poison, and like how much can our body take, and also how frequently can it take these ingredients.
Exactly. And that applies to the caffeine too, right? Like if we're having
Mm-hmm.
a more moderate amount of caffeine that is likely tolerated by your body, it's going to be fine. But drinking 600 milligrams in the span of 30 minutes is not going to be super great for your body that also hasn't had food all day, especially.
No.
Yeah. So
Last
those,
con. I didn't even realize we're still in cons. I don't know where I thought we were.
oh, this is all cons. There's no pros today, except for flavors. That was our only
That's
pro.
true. The flavor. So you go. You go. I cut you off.
Expensive. That's the next one. There's expensive. I think the price, of course, probably depends on where you
I'm
live,
looking
but
it up.
I'm
I'm
sure
looking up
these,
a Kroger.
I know Target's a common place to get these. I always see them at Fresh Time too. Oh, let's see what Google.
$2 for one.
Okay. Yeah. So of course everyone's
That's on
budget's
sale.
different. 230 at Target. It says
Hmm.
near me. Oh, it's SNAP eligible. That's good.
Interesting. We love some inclusivity.
Yeah. So of course expensive is determined by different people and their budget and everything, but potentially it could be like I would rather you spend that 230 on something that would be maybe providing your body with actual energy from calories instead of energy from 200 milligrams of caffeine.
Yes. So let's talk about the risks. As we've already talked about some of the
I was
cons.
gonna say,
But
we
like
kind of
what
oversee the caffeine one. We've already really done that, but
yeah.
our other big ones, the fact that they're a supplement.
Yes. And go listen to our supplement episode way back when.
That was like an OG episode.
Yes. Supplements are not regulated well in America. In America, we'll say that. I don't know the rules as well in the other countries.
Me neither.
So when supplements aren't regulated, that means they don't have to be truthful about their labels, which will lead us to our last point. But essentially, it's not regulated. That's all you need to know is what they could be posting and what they could be claiming might not be true. Spoiler for our supplement episode. You want to see if they're third party tested. And this is like when an outside governing party who doesn't have any influence over that company, like not like Celsius's research articles that they funded, big conflict of interest, but essentially you do want to make sure like if you are taking a supplement, it's third party tested, and they list who the third party tester is. They don't just say it, because we've seen that too, where they're like, this is third party tested, and they don't say who's testing it. So, and they should be very straightforward about that.
I am like zooming over their bottle or their cans right now. And they just keep talking about how there's 7 essential vitamins and their claims have been proven in 6 published university studies. Like that's like their whole thing. But I don't see any kind of third party testing on the can, which maybe if you dug deeper, like you could find on their website if they are, but like Emily said, it should be very straightforward and like direct if it is third party tested.
They claim, I just looked up, I always look up like the brand and then I look up third party tested.
Yeah.
And it says the Celsius Holdings like incorporated website is monitored, or the website is monitored and tested regularly by internal resources and by AudioEye, a third party provider of web accessibility testing. So it's not the, why is the website getting?
I would say like is the actual
It's
product though.
It says in its accessibility. I mean, we love inclusivity. I love this for them that they have an accessibility statement. I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
But the actual product is not.
Oh, here's a fun one. They say proprietary formula. So that basically means they're not third party tested. When someone throws the word proprietary on there, like proprietary formula, proprietary blend, it basically means that it's like a secret, kind of like their blend or formula is something that they've created. It's true to the brand, and a third party would not be able to test if that's accurate because we don't know what proprietary means to them. So
No.
I've got a hunch that they are not third party tested, at least not by a major third party testing company.
No. Yeah, no. I just found another dietitian did a review, and there was a lab that third party tested an ingredient.
Great.
So not super helpful. I think we already talked about most of the other cons. Yeah, or the risks more so.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this lawsuit because this has been juicy. And there are statements out there that, like, if you consume Celsius between January 1st of 2015, so 8 years ago, and November 23rd of 2022, you may be entitled to some money from this class action settlement. One of the biggest things is like products were being labeled as containing no preservatives, despite containing citric acid, where Celsius was arguing it was being used to like add flavor and not as a preservative. And I looked into it, and both sides agreed not to pursue, and they just settled. So like, it's kind of hard to know like if it was true or not, but people were saying they were getting hospitalized. And it makes me wonder like what the causes are. Like, obviously we don't know all the factors affecting that person's life, but just like, I always think of like caffeine in general,
right,
and whatnot. Like hospitalizations, like heart palpitations are very scary, and raise like elevated blood pressure levels can send people to hospitals. So like, I don't know if it's just like a Celsius thing, or like maybe it's a like more of an energy drink thing, and just like the overconsumption.
Just gonna say, like, there's so many, I don't know if studies is the right word, but a lot of stories, I guess I'll say, about energy drinks in general leading to hospitalization.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the theme for the whole episode today. Like, while we touched on Celsius more specifically in certain aspects in terms of like grams or milligrams of caffeine and all of that, a lot of these things like the caffeine overdose, the excess of the vitamins, the proprietary blends, like these apply to almost any energy drink that's out there. So it's just kind of good to heed with caution.
Yes. Please don't shock on them. That's a terrible idea. This is not medical advice, but a general statement, probably not good to like quickly consume caffeine.
Which
in any
I
form.
feel like is popular for these because they're promoted as like a pre-workout, like an exercise, like to be drunk along with like a workout before a workout. And like with pre-workout, like the powders, we often see like dry scooping is what it's called, where you just like down the hatch right before you go work out. And I'm sure a similar effect comes from these where like it's encouraged to drink them like right before you work out, which often includes like chugging and drinking it really fast.
Yeah.
You likely aren't sipping on these kind of things over like a couple
Unless
hours.
you're us drinking for flavor.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Pour over some ice in a wine glass. That's how I would drink it.
That sounds great to me, but
Yeah.
I'd have to be done by like 12 p.m. or
Oh, that's
else.
true. I do it in the morning.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like,
yeah,
going back to the whole boosting metabolism thing, if you're drinking this at 8 p.m. before you go work out and then you're up all night because you had too much caffeine, that's not so great for your metabolism because you probably got like 2 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We got to think bigger picture than just how is this random peach flavored energy drink boosting my metabolism?
Yeah.
Like
this one thing.
There's bigger battles to fight.
Yes. So that's Celsius.
That's Celsius.
It wasn't really like a hard no. It was like let's be cautious. And
yeah, exactly. I hope we made that clear in the beginning too. Like if you like these, you like them. It's probably fine. Just like, don't be dumb about it. Like,
Yeah.
have some critical thought, as Emily always says.
Critical thinking is essential.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the bonus question. And I want you to go first, Anna, because I have like some thoughts, but I haven't put them together in a coherent way in my brain. So today's question is a chicken nugget a meatball?
My gut reaction is yes. I feel like a meatball is just like ground meat of sorts, shaped in like a mushed up ballish shape. The only thing that would lead me the other direction is that meatballs are balls and chicken nuggets typically aren't like spherical. But I feel like nutrient composition wise and like protein source wise, like ingredient wise, I mean, like they tend to be
I have a question.
pretty similar.
I have a
Yeah.
clarifying question. Are you saying is like a chicken nugget a meatball? Like you would like you would see a chicken nugget and be like meatball? Or are you saying a
Oh,
chicken nugget is the chicken equivalent of a meatball to beef?
well, meatballs could be more than just beef. Meatballs are like I
That's
make turkey
true.
meatballs
Good
all the
turkey.
time.
That's true. That's true. Okay. You're right.
Like
We'll
I
go back
actually
to
don't even think beef. I think meatball. I think of turkey because that's just always what I make. But that's just how my brain works.
so it's like the concept of a meatball then.
Yeah, like I feel like to kind of give an example, like a chocolate chip cookie is a cookie. So like cookies the
Mm,
category, and we've got different types. So like
just
other
yeah.
meatballs might be sausage links. I'd consider a meatball. It's just ground up meat in a shape. um,
What
let's
about
see.
meatloaf?
Is
Because that's
meatloaf a
ground
meatball?
up
I think we've had
meat.
that question before. Maybe like it's on my list. I think
We've
meatloaf is just
had
a giant meatball.
I think we
I think we had that question.
but then I remember we talked about like what we paired it with because I talked about pasta and meatballs, and then we talked about what else we pair meatloaf with.
Yeah.
I think I'm siding with you because like my heart says yes. Like it's a ball of meat.
Right. I think it's cooked differently. They're typically fried, which I don't know meatballs if those are typically fried. I don't ever fry them.
No, I don't think so. I don't know how well that whole you have to put I know you like people I like add breadcrumbs to mine, but like you'd have to add a lot of breadcrumbs.
Yeah. Which what's in chicken nuggets that makes them stay so well together?
I mean, I've watched videos on chicken nuggets being made and I'm afraid.
It's not
So I
appetizing.
no.
We don't question what's going on behind closed doors at McDonald's.
No. No.
Okay, well, yeah, I think gut reaction is yes, but we're open to have our minds change, it sounds like, on this one.
Yes. Please comment on our website. We've been talking about this and we want you guys to be able to utilize it more because it's so fun and interactive. Is under we upload all of the episodes to our website and there's like a comment section now where you can like post comments. Let us know what you think because I feel like maybe there's a piece we're missing.
Yeah,
But
like my gut reaction's yes, but like I said, I could be swayed, which means that something is not quite fully formed in my head.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, let
But
us
yeah.
know. All right, well, that's
Cool.
Celsius, that's chicken nuggets. I should have thought of a more like common theme with the bonus question with the topic of the episode, but that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. This was still fun.
Still fun. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. We hope you just learned so much about energy drinks, and we will see you next week.
Yes. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much for tuning in on this episode of the Up-Beet Dietitians with your hosts, Emily Krause and Hannah Thompson.
We appreciate you all so much for continuing to support us. In order to support us and sustain the success of this podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and review.
If you'd like to provide us feedback for future episodes and guest stars, follow us on Instagram at the Up-Beet Dietitians.
Lastly, you can show us support by providing a monthly donation using the link at the end of our bio.
Once again, thank you so much for listening today, and stay tuned next Wednesday for a new episode. Until then, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.